Hello and welcome to the Main Cave. Now in today's video I've got the Attack Shark X11 mouse and I bought it recently to take a look at it. I was after a spare PC mouse and thought I'd go low budget just to see what it offers, and believe me, I've been pleasantly surprised with only just a couple of things to watch out for if you're looking to get the X11 yourself, and I'll mention this in the video. So if you're new here, we make regular videos on gaming and technology for your smart home, so please do consider subscribing, as I'm going to make a video to make your life easier. I don't want you to miss out, so do hit subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. As I said, I was after a new mouse and I saw this on Amazon, so I promptly bought it. I'll leave links down in the description on the exact one I got, but it's the Attack Shark X11 and it comes in at £35. I thought, what could go wrong? Please do remember though, throughout the course of this video, that the price is cheap, so everything needs to be in perspective of such a budget price, but especially for what you get. So I bought the black version here, and when it arrived it came in a box that displayed the white version. I did wonder if they'd got it wrong, but they haven't. So opening up then, you get the mouse, the charging dock, a 1.5 meter USB-A to USB-C cable, and the manual, and then of course the mouse itself. When you pull it out, you'll be struck by the weight. It's nice and light, coming in just over 60 grams. It does feel a bit plasticky, but for the price, I felt much worse on much more expensive mice. So let's look at the dimensions then. It comes in at 13 centimeters long, around 6.5 centimeters at the back, and 4 centimeters high. Now, all that into consideration, I've been using this for hours and found it to be comfortable for me. I have average sized hands and I felt good in my claw grip. If you used a shorter mouse such as the Razer Viper Ultimate, you will notice a difference, and that is in the height. The X11 is quite high, and it's quite higher than most of my other mice. As for buttons, it's the usual affair: left and right click, scroll wheel with a click, and 2 side buttons on the left, which means this mouse won't be fully functional for you lefties. The click feels very satisfying, and I'll go through the specs later for them, but I don't see them being a problem at all. Around 1mm pre and post travel, so it gives the impression of a fast, responsive click. The scroll wheel is nicely balanced with enough resistance to rest your finger on without turning it. It has a nice capacitive bump for every turn. It's covered in rubber. Yeah, it's just nice. The 2 side buttons are perfectly placed, out of the way, not too much to be unreachable. Just move your thumb up and you're on them. They are just a touch light to press, so if you do rest your thumb on them, you most likely will press them accidentally or purposefully. So speaking of the buttons and the clicks then, here is a sound test. On the top of the X11 then, there is a small RGB which is customizable in the software. Then spin it over, and at the front you have a USB-C port, which I've never actually used as it comes with a charging dock, which I'll talk about in a bit. Then spin it over onto the bottom is a button to switch modes, which confusingly isn't to switch connection modes, but instead to switch Bluetooth channels. There's 3 in total. And with it being Bluetooth, you're able to connect to anything that accepts a Bluetooth device, iPhones, iPads, etc. Then under that is your DPI switch. The other side is the actual switch to swap between the 3 connection modes. Then down to the bottom is a flap that stores the USB dongle. I have to say, this is such an underrated feature. I have around 20 mice for the channel and I'm constantly losing the dongles that don't get stored in the mouse. I love this. Okay, so let's talk specs now, and this mouse is packing for what is essentially a budget mouse. It has the Pixar 3311 sensor, DPI up to 22,000 with 6 levels of adjustment on board, 3 connection modes as we've talked, Bluetooth wired, and 1000 polling rate for the USB dongle, and a 65-hour battery. The clicks are Huano micro switches, apparently good for up to 20 million clicks, 40G of acceleration speed and 4000 IPS movement speed. So now, as I mentioned, the battery is pretty academic really. As already shown you, it comes with its own charging dock, so at no point did I ever lose charge, not even go below 50%, as every day when finished, you just plonk it on the dock and it charges up to 100%, ready for tomorrow's use. The RGB on the dock changes to a flashing white light, and this goes off when the battery is 100%. This dock is genuinely very useful. You plug it into your PC using the USB cable, and on the front of the dock is where you plug in your USB dongle. This eliminates any line of sight issues, as it's pretty much always within a few centimeters of the mouse. The dock itself has 2 stick feet. I made the mistake of peeling off the protective film and realized it's actually stuck to the desk like glue. I didn't want that. I'm happy with it just being resistant using the protective film. Then on the bottom of the dock is the RGB, which is nice and bright. This can be customized to a bunch of different colors and patterns using the button on the bottom. The mouse finds its seat very well due to the magnets. I've never had an issue placing it on. I've actually made a video on a third-party mouse dock in the past, and that set me back almost half of what this entire package of the X11 cost me. So the inclusion of this dock is fantastic. Now the Attack Shark X11 also has its own software, but don't get too excited. It's pretty basic, albeit it should be enough for most people, I'd say. The manual doesn't actually mention it anywhere that there's software, so just go to the website and download it from there, and I'll leave links in the description of where you can get hold of it. Load it up and you're presented with a single screen where you can change everything. Top left is where you assign your buttons, loads of options to change these including DPI, multimedia, browser, shortcuts, etc. Under that is your macros. I honestly haven't used this, but if you want to add a macro you can here and save it to your profile. Next are said profiles, which can be switched in the software, exported or imported if you have any. On the right is the DPI settings ranging from 100 all the way up to 22,000 and saved in one of 6 slots. Under that is your other settings for things like RGB, which should be only changes the tiny RGB on the top of the mouse, the polling rate, which you set to 1000 then leave, and then other settings such as power ripples and snap control. All for you to choose what's best for you. I mean, the app is okay. I mean, it's nice to have, but I'd like to see an option to add and remove the DPI options. I use 2 settings and have to scroll through all 6 to get to the one I want. When you do scroll on the mouse, you get a color indication for which one you're on, but again, this isn't customizable. And a small point also, I found a way to swap profiles on the mouse. This may be a feature, but I haven't found it yet, so to change, you need to use the software. So then, what's it like to use? Well, I use it on my PC for gaming and productivity, and for £35, I'm not sure there is better out there, as this covers both bases very well. For working, it does exactly what it should do, nice and responsive. The 2 buttons can be mapped to what you like, so for me it's cut and paste, and that helps me out massively. And then switch profiles when gaming. It's comfy and I've used it for hours with no issue. As for gaming, it performed very well. Again, it was nice and responsive and acted exactly how I'd expect coming from a gaming mouse over twice the price. However, one thing I did notice was I did have to bump up my DPI to a little bit more than normal. But hey, small thing, and it worked perfectly fine. Okay, so now on to some issues I have with it. Really, the main one is it's a physical issue. The skates are terrible. They are scratchy, sticky, which when working is okay, but when you game and are constantly moving, you will definitely feel it. Such a shame. However, you can fix this. I got around this by buying some new skates for it. I did contact Attack Shark, but they never got back to me, so I went out and bought some universal skates from Amazon, of which I'll leave to link to in the description. Once they arrived and I fitted them, this 100% fixes the problem. Trust me, you need to do this. I just took off the old skates, give it a clean with the included alcohol wipes, then added 3 dots to the top and 3 to the bottom. I left the middle part on as I don't think it would affect it at all, and then look at the results. Way better than before. My final issue is quality control. At this price, I'm not sure how many will fail after a short period of time, with it being so cheap. If you have this mouse and it has failed, please do let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. In the past, cheap doesn't usually mean reliable. But for me, so far so good, and after the past few weeks of owning this, it's been fine. So it's comfy, clicks well, half decent software, there's plenty of features, all for £35. But, okay, you do need to pay out to get better skates. I can't see why this shouldn't be on your list for your next mouse. I've been very impressed, especially seeing as the price, so go and take a look. I'll leave links to it down in the description. Till the next video, bye bye.